Right. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name's Sam, and I'm part of the marketing department of Adfinis. And today we're here to talk about how to make managing Linux systems easier, more efficient, and more secure by using the right tools for the job. I'm here today with two speakers, Miguel from SUSE. Would you like to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Sam. Thank you for having me here. My name is Miguel Pérez Colino. I'm a Spaniard based in Spain, working from Spain for SUSE. I'm Director of Operations for Business Critical Linux, and I've been working with SUSE Manager for SUSE Multi-Linux Manager now for quite a long time. And I would like to share what we have been working on with SUSE Multi-Linux Manager with you and with everyone uh, from the Adfinis folks and everybody attending this webinar. So thank you for having me, Sam.
Of course. And then we have Sergio as well from Adfinis. Would you like to also introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Sergio from Adfinis, and I'm excited to be here today to demonstrate the Multi-Linux Manager, the Content Lifecycle Manager. So in case you didn't know, Adfinis is a Swiss-based team of open source enthusiasts. We collaborate with organizations like SUSE to solve challenges and create opportunities with open source technologies such as cloud solutions, automation, DevOps. We're all about collaboration, security, and making technology sustainable for the long run. Basically, if there is a way to make your IT life easier and smarter, we're here for it. And now that that's over, let's get started.
Perfect. Just an FYI, in case you have any questions, we do have a Q&A section, which is available throughout the entire session. So just feel free to ask any questions and we'll help you out. And with that said, yeah, let's kick things off. Miguel, can I hand the stage to you?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, sharing my screen in 3, 2, 1. Can you see it? All good? All good. Then let's continue. Okay, so Multi-Linux Manager, SUSE Multi-Linux Manager. It used to be known as SUSE Manager, but the thing is that it manages more than SUSE Linux. So we renamed it to SUSE Multi-Linux Manager to show that it can manage more than one Linux. And we're talking about the right tool for the right job. Okay, we see that there are many tasks being done in operations to keep systems running, keep the system properly patched and working. And depending on what you're going to do, maybe the right tool is not what you're using. It may be some different tools. So let me first go into what are we going to review. First, we're going to focus on operations, okay? The tool, the whole context that we're going to talk about is focused on operations, teams, people who are working to maintain those systems running, those systems properly patched, those systems secure, okay? Those site reliability engineers, sysadmins, platform engineers, and so on. Okay. Then, of course, an overview on the product that is being built precisely for these people. Okay, and sometimes by these people. So there are some code added from people who are sysadmins that are helping us in the upstream communities. Some key features that are important for efficiency in operations. Talking about scalability, because it's key when you're managing systems, that when you go from 100 to 1,000 to 10,000, you are not in finding issues. And of course, then the content lifecycle management, which is something that Sergio is going to show. So I'm not going to go deep in that. Then, what is SUSE Multi-Linux Manager and why you should care? Okay. Let me talk about the mission of SUSE Multi-Linux Manager. The mission is to secure, deploy, update, monitor, and audit, and in general manage any Linux system. Okay, that is the idea, to have one place to manage your Linux systems and be able to keep them up to date to do your operations tasks in a simple, easy way. Okay? So that is the mission of SUSE Multi-Linux Manager. And of course, the upstream community called Uni is also the same mission. Okay, so this is what we are doing together. So what is it? It's true open source infrastructure management solution. We say true open source, everything is open. We have this community where we are working openly, and then people can contribute, people can see all the code, people can rebuild everything, they can use the builds, and you can try it. If you want to see what is the latest and greatest in SUSE Multi-Linux Manager, you can go to Uni, download the latest build, give it a go, and you will see all the features that will be coming in Multi-Linux Manager, okay? The idea is to simplify and secure your entire mixed Linux environment, because even when people think, oh no, I'm only using this Linux or that Linux, that usually doesn't happen. Even if they don't know it, there are other Linux in behind that, and maybe you want to start using them. Okay, and where at the core, on the edge, in the cloud. So basically, our motto is any Linux, anywhere, at any scale. Okay, we manage any Linux at anywhere, at any scale. Okay. The intention is to maintain the infrastructure and compliance in a good state. Okay, in a situation that you can handle it with a reasonable sized team. Okay, so we say it from a single console, but what we're doing also is that we are enabling the API best way possible, so other tools can go to the API and use the capabilities of SUSE Multi-Linux Managers and leverage it to patch and review the content. Two examples that we're working on. Of course, this is roadmap information, so it may happen, may not happen, but we're working on it. We are working on an extension for Rancher. So if you're using SUSE Multi-Linux Manager to manage your operating system under your Kubernetes, and you are having Rancher, we might be there's a project to do that, an extension to do that. Still not published, still not finished. And also in Trento. Trento is an SAP landscape manager that you can see all your SAP clusters and everything. Now you can get all the information on what patches are needed to be applied in your SAP environment in Trento from SUSE Manager. So some big customers that are having like super large deployments, they are using the API a lot. Okay. Then what else? Of course, compliance is important to ensure that everything is configured the way it should be. Oh, there's a raised hand, Urs Royce. Okay. So you can use the Q&A window if you want to make a question. I don't know how to provide you the microphone, but if you type a question in question and answer, I will take care of it. I keep going. Then some of the functions. Of course, first you need to know how many systems you have. What's in those systems, you know? So the asset management, the inventory is key, okay? We have, in SUSE Manager, we have under the covers an automation system called Salt, okay? We use it for some tasks in SUSE Manager. So if you want to use your own automation, you're good with Puppet or you're good with Ansible, it's okay. Okay, you can put them together, but under the covers in SUSE Manager, there's Salt, and we have the Salt bundle, which is an agent that you deploy, and it comes with its own Python. So when you deploy it, it's like completely isolated from the rest of the system. So it doesn't mess up with your Python in your system, and the Python in your system doesn't mess up with the agent. So if you break something in your Python in your system, you still have the agent to be able to make changes. Okay, so it provides you like a backup mechanism to be able to make changes in your systems, even when you have done something wrong with your Python environment. So this agent is going to gather all the information from your system and is going to feed it to SUSE Manager. And in there, you will be able to see the full list of systems, what is installed, what packages are there, how much memory do they have, how much disk, everything, you know, is going to this information. And then, of course, you can assign them to subscriptions and see how are you doing with your subscription matching, okay? You can group those systems. For example, many times I've seen customers grouping the systems for function. Let's say you have your Tomcat servers for your Java applications, you have your PostgreSQL databases, and then you have your Nginx as a front end, which is a pretty typical architecture. Then you can group them. Again, I have my Nginx front end, then Tomcat servers, then PostgreSQL servers, and then of course you can update those in the different cycles if you need them, or apply different patches when you need them. Okay. Then provisioning. When you want to provision new systems, and this is really focused on bare metal provisioning, but it could be used in many other ways. We use the PXE boot standard to be able to deploy new systems. This is very convenient when you're having like a lot of independent systems. Let's say you're a retail company, and you have a lot of points of sale in all your shops, and you want to deploy those points of sale automatically. We have been doing this for years. Okay, this is one typical use case that we do. that we use pixelbooting, and then you get your new point of sale, you put it there, you connect it to the network, and it gets completely installed automatically. So this kind of thing can be done with SUSE Manager. We can generate ISO images in case you want to deploy with USBs. But again, we're focusing on provision and being able to provision your new systems. What else? Package management. It's important to have a list of packages that are installed in your system, and be able to know, okay, if you have any vulnerability in those packages, and how to control which packages are going to be done. Okay, so to be installed and updated in your systems. And patch management. Okay, what patches do we need to apply? Are they security patches? Are they bug fixes? Are they enhancements? Okay, all of that you can see it in a very easy way in your UI with SUSE Manager. So you can be able to apply those patches. So what happens normally when customers get SUSE Manager for the first time? And I really recommend that if you get SUSE Manager, you get someone from Adfinis or from SUSE to help you set it up, or both together. So whenever you set it up, you see all the systems and all the patching. And then the first time you patch, you do an intervention window on a Saturday at 3 o'clock in the morning, okay, to ensure that you don't disrupt business. And you're awake there, having a lot of coffee, applying those patches, and then you see that it works. And then you schedule it next time, okay, manually schedule it. Oh yes, let's apply the patch automatically. And then you wake up Sunday in the morning with your coffee, checking, oh, the patch is applied well. And then you do it again. And then what you do, you create a maintenance window, okay, which is handled by SUSE Manager. This time, from this hour to this hour on this day of the week, for example. And then in this maintenance window, you say, okay, now apply the patches, okay, and you make it fully automated. So this is the process that normally customers follow. And again, if you want to reduce the time to production for this process, having help from a partner like Adfinis is a good idea. Okay. So in summary, the 3 reasons you need SUSE Manager for your operations. First is security, knowing what security patches are available, what vulnerabilities are affecting your systems, being able to scan the status of your systems. Okay, I'm going to talk about more about this later. So checking that the system, the configuration, that you cannot SSH as root, okay, is properly configured. Then making it simple, managing up to 16 different distributions from one single tool, automating all the patching process, okay, checking all the patches before they go to production, and then be able to scale. Then when you start growing and growing and adding more and more systems, okay, then you start you can keep managing it with the same tool, okay. So when does it make sense? So there's one thing that my friend Sebastian says, that is the paradox of patching. You know, those critical systems are super critical, that nobody wants to patch because they are so critical, you know, but those are the ones that need the patches the most, okay? So in those cases, testing the patches before bringing them to production helps a lot in having ease of mind, knowing that things are going to go well, okay? So even with 10 systems, super big systems, for example, SAP HANA systems, okay? Have customers running SAP HANA databases in systems with 32 terabytes of memory, okay? Huge databases. So in these cases, having SUSE Manager to patch the system so you can test the patch before applying it is super good. But also, if you have 100,000 systems, and we have a customer with more than 100,000 systems in production, so this is not synthetic testing. We did synthetic testing with 1 million systems, but in production, 100,000 systems, you can have 100,000 systems and manage it with SUSE Manager. Of course, you will need a special architecture that we call hub, but with one server, you can manage up to 10,000 systems without an issue. We have even customers managing 20,000 systems with one single server proxies, but you can scale up to 100,000 and beyond with SUSE Manager, okay? So that's the scale. What happens, again, when people start using SUSE Manager? And I already described it a bit, but the thing is that the effect that what I described on testing first the patch, going there, doing it at 3 a.m., and then scheduling it, and then making it fully automated. What happens is that you go from patching once a year or twice a year to patching every month, okay? And then your systems are patched more frequently with confidence, Okay, it increases the confidence in being able to apply patches without an issue. And we have seen this in many customers that are using right now SUSE Multi-Linux Manager for patching their system. Okay. Again, it's a multi-Linux world. You are not going to have only one Linux, even you think you have. It's happening a lot with some customers that are running Oracle databases, and they think, oh, let's use Oracle Linux for Oracle databases. I need a different tool to patch those. Well, if you're using SUSE Multi-Linux Manager, you can patch those with it, as well as your Red Hat Enterprise Linux systems, as well as your Ubuntu systems, as well as everything else. Okay. What are we tackling here? Complexity. Okay. Managing IT systems is complex, it's hard. Normally, I refer to people working in maintaining systems operating the sysadmin Marines. You know, they go they get landed anywhere to make things run and to keep things running. You know, it's like, yes, sir, let's go. Okay, so it's a tough job, and we're trying to provide you the tools that you need to make it not as tough and to make it like convenient and nice and even interesting. Okay. So day one deployment, you need to have a provisioning that is not manual, that is not slow, being able to configure your system the right moment you deploy it, okay, being able to apply different configuration files, to be able to have your hosts, your resolve, everything that you're going to have, your SSH configuration compliant, okay, and then making deployments repeatable. Knowing that when you're going to deploy it, you can do it with confidence because you have done it a lot of times and it's completely repeatable, completely systematic. And then day two operations, the key, okay, being able to manage, to patch, to update with a regular cadence. You can program the patches and knowing when you're going to apply them. And you can tell people, hey, we're going to apply those patches, and people get used to it and everything goes smoothly, okay? Knowing that you can patch at different levels, okay? You have some systems that are more critical, you patch them in one way. You have some systems that are in a lab and you patch them in a different way, okay? Then handling security and compliance. Normally, this is very difficult. There's a security team that is coming and is telling you, okay, are you compliant? They run some checks on your systems and they come and, oh, these systems are not compliant, okay? So in here, first, you can provide some reports on what vulnerabilities are being patched, okay? Second, you can run compliance yourself, okay? There's a tool called OpenSCAP, and you can run compliance yourself and be able to be ahead of the security team, to check if what you did is working, okay? And of course, health and monitoring to ensure that the performance is okay and that you have no downtime. So what are we tackling here? Cost, complexity, and compliance, okay? The three C's that are key to operations. How do we do it? This is pretty simple, okay? You have a lot of little packages, a lot of RPM files or DVM files for your systems. And what we do is that we connect to the repositories, and we connect to the official repositories. If you're running Red Hat Enterprise Linux, we're going to connect with your subscription to the RPMs that Red Hat is providing, and we're going to patch it with the original RPMs from Red Hat. If you're using Oracle Linux, the same thing. If you're using Ubuntu, of course, okay, Ubuntu is not, it's a lot easier. But again, we can use your subscription to get the packages, and then we put them in a repository. And this is SUSE Manager. SUSE Manager creates a repository of all the packages that you're going to use. So on top of that, if you get disconnected, you can reinstall, repatch anything. In case you have to recover a backup and then apply the patches, you can do it even if you have a problem with your internet connection, okay? In places where network survivability is key, having a SUSE Manager could be a life-saving thing, you know, to be able to maintain those systems running, okay? So this is what it does. I normally compare it to listen to music, you know, downloading the MP3s and having there. So it's like your own Spotify, but for packages, for systems, okay? You have all the songs there and then you listen to them, okay? And then, of course, you can deploy them anywhere. You have this centralized repository. You can put proxies in different locations, and those proxies are going to redistribute the packages that you have downloaded, okay? Again, for, as we say, any Linux or any relevant Linux. Of course, there are like hundreds of distributions, but we're looking at the ones that our customers are using, and we're trying to cover them. So, of course, the first thing we do is covering our own Linux. SUSE Linux Enterprise Server is our main goal. Whenever there's a new release, we schedule releases so that whenever SUSE Linux Enterprise Server is released, in 1-2 weeks from that release, you have it supported in SUSE Manager. Sometimes we have even done it at the same time. You know, when it was released, it was already covered. Okay, so yes, if you're using SUSE Linux Enterprise Server, you are covered for sure. If you're using OpenSUSE, which is like the CentOS of SUSE, okay, OpenSUSE Leap is a rebuild of SUSE Linux Enterprise Server. It even has the same binaries, different cryptographic signatures. But if you want to start a project with SUSE and you want to not deal with subscriptions yet because it's like an experiment, using OpenSUSE could be a good thing. And you can distribute it and patch it from SUSE Manager, okay? So yeah, you have OpenSUSE Leap is covered, of course, Oracle Linux, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, CentOS 7, Rocky Linux. By the way, CentOS 7 went end of life. If you still need support for CentOS 7, we have an offering called Multi-Linux Support that we can cover those. We can patch those CentOS 7 systems for you. Rocky, Alma, Debian, Ubuntu, Amazon Linux, you name it, okay? So we try to cover any Linux that you might be using in any architecture or hardware architecture, okay? We have x86 64, we have PowerPC, S390, and recently we added ARM, you know, ARM 64 bits. The folks at ARM were so nice. They donated a server for us to make the test, which we are very, very thankful for that. So thank you, ARM, for donating the server that we have been using to test all the builds for ARM. So yeah, you have it all. You can choose, and we have you covered. Okay. So now let me dive a bit deeper into patch management. Okay. There are different ways of patching. Many distributions provide packages, RPM files, and then you download them and then you apply them. In SUSE Linux Enterprise Server, and also in SUSE Liberty, which is our multi-Linux support, if you want to convert from RHEL or from CentOS or from Oracle to a Linux that is supported by SUSE, we have it and it's called Liberty, okay? We provide something called program temporary fixes, PTFs, okay? This is a fix that sometimes a customer gets just for this customer until it gets completely blended into the rest of the distribution. This way we can provide patches a lot faster. And PTFs are something that we provide for SUSE Linux Enterprise Server and SUSE Liberty, which is again a rebuild of the Enterprise Linux that you can use it and it's fully compatible, okay? So we manage all those patches, okay? Again, we have a feature in SUSE Linux Enterprise Server called live patching, okay? You can patch the kernel and only have to reboot your machine once a year. So if you need that uptime, that not having to reboot a machine because it's huge, because it has 32 terabytes of memory, okay? You have live patching. And SUSE Manager is fully aware of that. So it will know when a system is patched, even if you haven't rebooted, and it will know that you do not need to reboot it to apply those patches, okay? So all these patches, all this patch feast is well handled by SUSE Manager. It's been handled for quite some years. The maturity of the product shows up when you see how fine-grained it goes with managing patches. Automation, okay? We can automate applying patches. We can automate almost anything with SUSE Manager. But the way you apply patches is completely embedded in the product. It's part of the product. So all this automation has been created, tested, used by more than 1,000 customers every day to do all this patching. So this is fully refined, okay? When you schedule your patching in SUSE Manager, think about other hundreds of customers that are scheduling the same patch, applying the same patches, and that they're running it at the same time as you. So this provides like a lot of confidence, okay? When you start using these recurring actions, you will see that you can apply it. And again, it's super flexible. And you can add change to, in case there's a failure, how do we react and so on. So it's very complete. It's very comprehensive on how the patches are applied in an automated fashion. And again, it's being used in production by many customers. And then automation, big thing. Many people are using automation to do everything on their systems right now. And it's a good tool, and it's very important to do automation. And Ansible, many people are using Ansible. It's like very well spread, and many people are using the Ansible open source project for their systems. Some people are getting their subscriptions from Red Hat to use Ansible. We include Salt in SUSE Manager, but we play nice with Ansible. We have something called the Ansible control node that you can spawn a node with Ansible in it, and then SUSE Manager will connect to this node, and it will tell it, please run this automation on this machine. Okay, so we play nice with Ansible. If you're using Ansible and you want to use SUSE Manager, they work very nicely together. Okay, and we have plenty of customers using them both, and they are super happy with it. OpenSCAP. Now I want to talk about compliance. Again, security is normally one of the big issues for operations. Keeping things secure, ensure that everything's in place. You want to do your own checks. You want to do your own audits, okay, to ensure that all the changes that you apply are okay. So SCAP is a standard, and OpenSCAP is an implementation. OpenSCAP comes included with SUSE Multi-Linux Manager. What it does is that you set up a set of rules. The most simple one that everybody understands is you cannot SSH, you cannot access via SSH to a machine as root, okay? And you have to block it. And for that, you have to change the configuration in SSH. You can do it using Salt, you can do it using Ansible. Okay, how do I check? You can run OpenSCAP, you can add a rule to check that, and then OpenSCAP will provide you, hey, this is working, this is not working. Of course, there are sets of rules available that you can use. You can download them, add it to SUSE Manager, and use it. You can build your own. And normally when you start doing this and providing the reports to the security team, what they start doing is helping you refine the checks, so the tests that you're running work for them. And many times they run once a year a test just in case, and then they keep relying on these tests that you're running yourself, making your life a lot easier as a sysadmin, as a site reliability engineer, platform engineer. Okay, and then the key part here that we want to talk about. Nothing goes to production without testing. We all know about an incident that happened quite some time ago that rendered some machines not accessible. Okay, I remember in an airport that they couldn't do the check-in, okay, because they were running machines that were applying those patches and they got blocked. Do you know which operating system was running there? Okay, so but the information screens were running SUSE Linux, and they were being deployed with SUSE Manager. So people couldn't check in, but at least they were properly informed, okay? So again, these people were testing every single patch that went to Linux machines before applying it. And they were patching with confidence, and they could keep production running. Of course, disasters could happen to anyone, anytime, okay? But let's take the action so that we ensure to the point where it's possible that it's not happening to us. And in this case, we're thinking, use the right tool for the right job, okay? Managing baselines, managing the patches, managing the packages that are installed in your system, controlling which patches and which packages are in your system is not an automation feature, okay? You need content lifecycle management for that. So if you're trying to manage this with Ansible, you're probably suffering a lot, okay? So I'm letting you know, use the right tool for the right job. In this case, we provide this feature, content lifecycle management. Sergio is going to show it to you, but let me speak about it a bit, okay? And please, Sergio, interrupt me and add anything you think is interesting that I might be missing, so we can provide a complete overview. Okay? We say that SUSE Manager connects to the repositories, the remote repositories, and gathers all the packages. Those are the base channels, okay? All these packages are downloaded, and then you have them in your SUSE Manager. And then you can say, okay, I'm running in this machine SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 15, Service Pack 4, for example, or Service Pack 5, and then a new patch comes and I want to add it to it, okay? So you use a filter to say, okay, this patch should be in the channel, and you create a new channel for your laboratory, for your development environment. And then you apply those patches to the development machines. And then you check that everything goes okay. And it's like, okay, it's time to bring them to the QA environment. You promote that baseline to QA. Okay, and then you only have to click once, and all the packages that you have been testing in development, they all go to the QA machines. And now the QA machines have them available. You apply those patches, you run as many tests as you want, and then you check that those patches are working fine. The patches are working fine. You click on promote again. All the patches are now available for the machines in production, and then you can choose when to apply them. So this way, we have a consistent landscape and consistent baseline installed in every single machine in your environment. And you can control which patches go to production. And if you have the typical situation like years ago with Heartbleed, you have to patch very quickly. You create a filter, you add this package, and then you can test it and promote it in a very short time frame with confidence. See? How does this work? Again, you have all the packages. So these are like songs, okay? You have all the songs, and then you create what I call the baseline would be like a playlist, okay? So you have the playlist, and you listen to yourself, oh, this is good. Then you give it to 3 or 4 friends that are very close, and you give it to them. They listen to it, oh, this is good. And then you make it public, okay? And then you make a change to the playlist, and you say, okay, let's make a change to the playlist. You create another version of the playlist. And then you listen to it, okay, it's better. Then you show it to your friends, then you give it to everyone. So it's the same thing, okay? You get those songs, and then you get the playlist. You get all the packages, you get the baseline. And the baseline are the packages that are going to be installed on your systems. And then if you want to include a new song, you want to include a new package, you can do it using filters. So this is how we do it. Adding one more thing, of course, kernel live patching, being able to patch the kernel without rebooting. We can do it with SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 15. So if you want to be able to not reboot, we have the feature for you. You can use the kernel live patching in SUSE Linux and then not having to reboot the machines so many times. And with this, I'm going to check if we have any question in the...
Yeah, we actually do have a question. I think maybe you can give some clarity on this.
Oh, Ivan.
Yes.
Ivan, I'm probably butchering your name. Apologies. Well, I'll stick with Ivan, okay? Ivan, with current license 4.3, we have option to migrate to new SUSE 5.0. So in SUSE, we are an open source company. We do open source, and therefore, this means you have a subscription, which means subscriptions are not tied to a version. When you have a subscription for SUSE Manager, it's for all the available versions of SUSE Manager, which means, of course, you have access to 5.0. If you have your subscription for 4.3, you have access to 5.0. Another important thing on this, and thank you for making this question, Ivan, is that in SUSE Multi-Linux Manager, okay, subscriptions are for the number of systems connected. You can have as many servers as you want, which means if you have plenty of locations, you can have one SUSE Manager server per location if you want to, okay? And if you want to have another SUSE Manager server for you to play with, go deploy it, play with it, mess it up, and whatever. The important is the number of systems connected to your SUSE Manager servers. These are the subscriptions that you're going to be asked to pay for, okay? So yes, you can use the subscription of 4.3 to migrate to 5.0, of course. By the way, 5.0 runs on SUSE Linux Micro, which is a minimized set of SUSE Linux, and includes the subscription for the subscription of SUSE Multi-Linux Manager includes the subscription for the operating system running under the server, the SUSE Linux Micro, which is also a good way to give it a go and see if you like it. Another question, nothing goes to production without testing. In heavy data dependent system, Nicholas is sending this question. It is needed to test code on up-to-date copy of production data in pre-prod environment. Of course, any such thing is application dependent, but some could be generic, like copying a large data dump from prod to pre-prod. Is there some specific support for such scenarios beyond what could be done with Salt and Ansible via the API? Okay, so the deployment of the applications is on the copy of data. It's normally done in an automated fashion. You probably have a CI/CD environment. So what you can create is another stage in content lifecycle management for this. So you can have a pre-prod and prod, and pre-prod and prod have to be the same. But at some point in time, you will need to update pre-prod. Okay. So whenever you update pre-prod, then you can move the patches to prod, and you have the two systems exactly the same. Okay. So you can promote them on the same day or even on the same time. How to get that data? That is automation that you have to do. You can do it with Salt, you can do it with Ansible, you can do it with Puppet, you can do it with the way you want it. Okay. Getting that data from a storage or from a backup or from a production server and synchronizing it is part of the automation. And what I've seen is that some people are just doing like Delta updates on the pre-production environment. So they just copy the Delta of the data, which depends on how you're using the data, how it is being stored, of course. But you can have it in your CI/CD pipelines so that this is being run once every whatever. You create a pipeline to synchronize, and then you can run it. And then this way, you put them together, and you can control the baseline of the operating system, and you can control the deployment of the application and have a pre-production environment that is as similar as possible to the production environment. I hope I did answer your question, Nicholas. I do not see any more questions. Sergio, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah. Nicholas is saying thanks. So I'm assuming I did reply to his question. Go ahead, Sergio. Thanks for your patience.
So, hello again, and thank you, Miguel. Let me share the screen with you in a second. Quickly. There should be SUSE Manager right after me, right? So, hello again. Thank you, Miguel. I will walk you through the interface and show you how easy it is to use SUSE Multi-Linux Manager, specifically the Content Lifecycle Manager, to create and manage custom channels for your different environments. So the Content Lifecycle Manager, or CLM for short, allows you to manage the deployment of the patches to your systems. And this is specifically, especially beneficial if you need to install the updates in a restricted maintenance window. Ideally, the latest patches and updates should be tested on a reduced set of test systems, and then use the very same versions in the next environment that we could call QA, pre-production, and then you test there, and if successful, then you take all the lessons learned to production. So to do that, we use custom channels that are very useful, especially if you have clusters. And in these cases, you want to make sure that all the nodes in a cluster get the very same exact version as the rest. Because it happened to me while doing maintenance of a cluster of 3 nodes without MLM, that I discovered that the last of the nodes of the cluster had a newer version of some packages because they were released just before I was about to update the last node. So you don't want that to happen in your infrastructure, and you have CLM and custom channels to help you here. Custom channels will lock the versions of the packages and updates to all the systems subscribed to that channel. So let's talk briefly about some basic concepts. And to do that, we will use the UI. As you see, here is the Content Lifecycle Manager section of SUSE Manager, SUSE Multi-Linux Manager. And we will use this project here. Every project begins its life with a name. This is a friendly name. The label. This is important. This label, I recommend you to be short because it will be used in conjunction with the name of the environment and the name of the channel. And we could end up with weird, super long custom channel names. I will show you later this. But remember, the friendly name could be whatever you want. You can You can set your imagination free here, but keep the label short. And then the description is some meaningful description of this project. And then you will have an history here. Every project has sources. The sources will have a base channel. And the base channel can only have only one base channel, but you can have as many child channels as you want or not. But it's important to remember that you will only have a base channel, because a base channel is designed to provide a foundational set of packages for a specific operating system type, version, and architecture. So it doesn't make sense to have both Debian and SLES here. And it doesn't make sense to have SLES 12 and 15. And it doesn't make sense to have SLES 15 SP6 and SP5. So it can be only one. And then the child channels that you want. You can have as a source a custom channel, which could be like the upcoming source channel from SUSE, and some packages of your own. You can do that. Then another important thing is the filters. Every project can have filters or not. These are particularly useful, and we will talk about them in a minute. But it's important to remember that filters are used to include or exclude. Most of the time, we use them to exclude updates and packages from this build. Okay. And the last thing we will see here is the environments. The environments represent both stages and a set of servers in your infrastructure. So when we talk about the test environment, we are talking about the development stage of testing, and also the set of servers that are involved in that testing, okay? And then you will have another stage, which could be production or QA, and you will have a different set of servers that provide that function and this stage, okay? And this is the environment. And then build. This button here you see is has very special function in CLM. It will, when you push this button, it will create all the custom channels using these sources and applying these filters, and will produce a set of custom channels for the first environment that you have here, in this case, test. Okay, so you will have like a picture of how the source was at this moment after applying these filters. So in this case, it will exclude bzip3, and it will be frozen on the 1st of November of 2024. So all packages after that date will not be included in this picture, okay? This is also another feature, but forget about that. And another important thing to remember is promote. So when you have built something, you can promote it, but you cannot promote it if you don't have something built before. So first, build. And to build, you need to have sources. So if you have just installed your SUSE Manager, you might not have nothing. You need to go to, remember to need to go to admin, setup wizard, to the products, and then here in the product list, remember to synchronize some products so you have something to play with or work with in this case. So in the product list, we're here. Why are you doing this today? So you can choose some of these and synchronize them. And when they are available, you can use them to produce these custom channels in CLM. And remember, to build, you need to have the sources, and the sources synchronized. And to be able to promote, you have to have something built before. And that's it. With this, I will tell you a couple of examples, and then we will go and we will create a new project for you to show how easy it is. So first, when we look at the life cycle, the first step should always be test, right? This is it. it is the most important here. Imagine that you don't know what to filter. So this is the first thing that happens. Like, I don't know what to filter. So I will take the upstream, like the Debian channel for Debian 12 as it is. And then I will build it. So I will apply that picture like as it is today to my test systems, okay? And I will update them and try everything. If my applications work as expected, then I will call it, okay, it went smoothly, then we can promote to the next environment. And in this case, as you can see, we only have 2 environments. We will go directly from test to production. So if it works in test, we can test in production. It's very risky, but this is just an example. Don't take it as a production or a recommendation on how you should make things. But so first you test. If it goes well, then you're happy and you promote. But if something happens there and you find, oh, okay, right now I'm seeing that bzip3 is causing trouble. So I want to exclude this bzip3 from the updates. So I want it out. So I will go to filters and I will create this filter like this. It's very simple. You exclude the package that contains bzip3 and it will exclude everything. It's a little bit harsh, but it works. But you will get it once you begin using filters. You will get better at it. It's like an artisan. It takes time to master it. It's easier to think what do you want to filter than to actually build the filter using the filters here in SUSE Manager. But it's easier, and if you don't know how to do it, we are here to help. The other example that I can give you, it's if you imagine that a recent case like the last year, we had this a CVE with OpenSSH. I remember it was 2023, the 3840-408. That was OpenSSH had a vulnerability versions prior to 9.3p2. And some people freaked out about this, and you can include a specific version in your build that goes after that. So please include a patched version. This is an example, okay? It's not used as it is, but you can either exclude the vulnerable version, or you can force it to include and include the patched version. So when you click build, the resulting custom channels that will be built, you will make sure that no vulnerable version is included, and you will only include the patched version. That's the 2 examples that I can give you. And now we can go to create the project. And to do that, let me click here. If the ribbon allows me, create the project. So as I told you, every project begins with a name, and we're gonna give our project the PostgreSDB name. And remember, the label should be short. So I'm gonna use this. And the description, you can put whatever you want to make it easier for you. PostgreSDB servers running / for instance. And we will create a project. So SUSE CLM will present you with this. It's a little bit empty. So now we're gonna configure the project. So the first thing that we need is a source. And as we have SUSE Enterprise Linux servers here, specifically we have SUSE Enterprise Linux 15 SP5. So we are gonna attach a source. And remember, we can only have 1 base channel. We have 3 to choose here because I only synchronized 3, and I'm going to select this one. SP5. And we can have as many child channels as you want, but as we are in a demo and this takes time, we are only select now the base system to make it quicker. But in your case, you can just select all of them or just click here and include recommended, and it will automatically, you see, select all of them for you. But in this case, just base system. And when we click save, you will see the sources shown here. Now is a good moment to apply a filter if you know what to filter, but imagine you don't know what to filter. It is okay not to filter anything if you want just to test. And now we cannot build. You know why? Because we don't have environments. We need to tell SUSE Manager which environments are we going to have. So let's add an environment. This test environment, the label, remember, this is also important. You can write here test environment because this is the friendly name for you in the interface. But the label should be short because Content Lifecycle Manager will use the name of the project and the name of the environment and then the name of the channel to produce the custom channel. And you could end up with really long names in there, and it's better to keep them short. So let's put it here, and I will explain you later what is this for. Let's save it, and we have our first environment here, representing a stage, which is the test or development, and a set of servers, which I will explain later to you. What is this? And then let's add another environment, which is production. The label should be prod to keep it short, and this would be our production servers. Okay, and now let's say I forgot to add my QA environment. What can I do to put it in just in the middle of these two? Let's click add the environment. Let's put here quick QA environment. Let's call it QA for short. QA, please. Environment servers. And let's use insert before to put it just before production and after test. And as you see here, it appears right in the middle. So now we have three environments: test, QA, and production. And what CLM is going to do for us is going to create all the custom channels that we need to then subscribe the systems to them and get the patches. So before we hit build, because now we can, you see, before hitting this, let's have a look at the channels that we have now. And as you see here, we just have the Debian channel coming from SUSE, the provider is SUSE. We have a couple of MariaDB, Debian Prod, and Debian Test from Adfinis demo, because these two are the result of this project, test and production environments. Remember, test, MariaDB, Deb, and Prod. And if you go to software again, software, you see there, this is the name of the project, this is the name of the environment, and then you have the name of this Debian 12 pool for AMD, okay? So this is the name of our upstream channel, and we want here to create some custom channels for test, QA, and production on all the child channels using exactly a coherent naming scheme. So we will go to content lifecycle and projects. We will hit Postgres, and now we can hit build and let the magic happen. It's important to provide a meaningful version message here, because right now it's our first version. It's nothing special, but in the future, if you come here 12 times after, you need to remember why you built this. You might be building a new version because something failed, and this is the place to put that kind of annotations. So when you look at the history, it will remind you, oh, this is the quarterly patch, and we are excluding this package because in the previous one, we had a problem with this and that, okay? But for this demo, we just put the first, and we click build. And right now, behind the curtains, SUSE Multi-Linux Manager is cloning the channels for you automatically and applying a coherent naming scheme for you. So if we go, this will take a while. So meanwhile, we're going to software channels. And now you see here, the first one of them, which is this one, DB Postgres test environment. And this is the name of the channel. And if we open it, it will contain the base system, the child channels. And it will clone all the packages here. But remember, we're talking about metadata here. We are not actually making copies of the package data itself. We are just making like pointers. So when you make a build, remember, you take the source, which will be this one, you apply the filters, so you remove or include something according to what is described there, and you create a custom channel that will not mutate until you build again. So these custom channels will remain static for all these subscribed systems. Now we don't have any, but I will show you the other one. This MariaDB prod and test, let's click on prod. There's one subscribed system, which is this one. And this system will get this list of packages and only this list. It will not change until I promote or build it again. In this case, because this is production and it goes right after test, I need to promote test to build, to prod. So this list won't change. Even if Debian publishes something, it won't change until I hit promote. It will remain static. And that is good for clusters and for you to keep track of what is going on and keep your environment in a predictable state. Okay, so now we have to wait a little. As you can see, the test environment has been successfully built. So we now can subscribe systems here. But if you, let's keep this. If you're satisfied with the webinar, we can talk about how to manage the system groups and how to define system groups, how to manage activation keys to bootstrap servers directly into a system group, and how to link a system group with the custom channels to simplify the way you populate the resulting custom channels with all the servers that you want in a very simple step without manually having to go server by server, adding them to your custom channels. So imagine that we have subscribed all the test servers to the resulting custom channel for test, which is this one. And you have a significant list of servers here receiving this list of packages and updates. And you test it and you're satisfied with the results and you want to go further. So you go to the Content Lifecycle Manager, you click on Postgres, and you say, hey, it's a good moment to promote it. And you click promote. Let's get this version to the QA server. So you hit promote, and SUSE Manager will create copies of these channels, not the upstream, but this copy that you tested, which you will make another copy for the QA, but with different names. So now we can go to software, and you will see here, QA. Hi. And if you open it, you will see the base system there, and also a lot of packages. And the provider is us, not SUSE. Because remember, these custom channels won't change and will be a lot of QA systems subscribes specifically to these channels. So you can test here. And if you discover that something is wrong, you can go and apply a filter specifically for this environment. and then promote that filter down to production. So we go back to content lifecycle, we go to Postgres, and now we check. This is the first version. We're waiting for the repositories data to be generated. It will take a moment to finish. And once we do this and it's finished and you're satisfied with this, we can finally promote to production. And we will end up with 3 custom channels with a lot of child channels connected to them, linked to them. And these 3, you don't have to wait all this time every single time you need to patch. You just go back each quarter or each month and okay, let's build another version for the test environment. We are already in this moment of the patching cycle, and we hit build and the second version for the test environment. You don't have to wait for the promotion to finish because there are separate stages. And imagine we're in the next month, so we build a new version and a new snapshot or picture of the source base channel will be produced applying the filters and will be created for the test channels, okay? And will be different from this QA and from production. Now that the QA has been built, we can promote it to production. And if we go to the software channels, at this moment, we should see the 3 of them with all the child channels in them. But as this is a simple demo, these custom channels are very much the same. But in a production scenario, you will have tests with some filters in it and a different version for QA, and QA and production will be very much alike or exactly the same. The one that you will be working with most of the time, it will be test. And with this, I think I have covered most of it. There is a lot of things to talk about on how to facilitate registering system to these custom channels. Remember that CLM just helps you to produce the custom channels and promote them and make fresh copies of the upstream channels in an orderly way. So it helps you following a workflow, and it helps you managing all the custom channels. And in this test is quite simple, but in a production environment, this list could be quite big.
Sergio, we have one more question. Would you mind taking a look and answering it, please?
Oh, yes. Related to all packages, is there something new or cleanup? Is it manual work to all packages? So you refer like, because the repositories, they are always getting the latest in the repos. So you can remember in a moment, you can have, if we fast forward like a year here, the base channel will have only the latest versions, no old versions. You will only keep here the latest versions published of packages. But here, if you haven't built or promoted recently, you will have old versions of them because this is a snapshot or like a picture of how it was. And SUSE Manager keeps those versions if they change, and will keep you providing them. So if we remove all repo, like we cleaned or manual, no, you don't need to manually clean up anything. That just when you promote, and if you don't filter anything, you will get the latest. You don't need to clean up. I hope this answers the question, or maybe you want to clarify something, like Miguel?
My understanding is that he was mentioning Ubuntu 18. Let's say that you have all the Ubuntu 18 upgraded to Ubuntu 22.04, okay? And it's like, what do I do with the channels of Ubuntu 18? I mean, we want to be sure that the packages are there. So there's a command that you can run to clean up the old packages and remove the old channels. Okay, and this is manual because again it's pretty delicate. However, it's been discussed in the team on having an entry in the UI, so you can do it from the UI. So I mean, manual, you don't have to do RM every package. You know, you don't have to go and SSH into the machine. There's one command that you run and you remove the channels, and it's pretty straightforward.
You mean the channels that no longer
Are being
appear
used.
in the UI, like a space wall data FCAK, like to remove everything from there, or the space walk remove channel?
That was my understanding. So
yeah,
unfortunately, Ivan has left. He had to go, so we'll have to write the answer there. I'm trying to remember by heart what was. I think it was a spacewalk remove channel, the command that you have to
spacewalk remove channel -A will remove custom channel on all the channels linked to it automatically. You don't have to remove the child channels, and then with -A, it will remove everything. And there is another command especially useful for you if you find that your database has grown a lot and there might be old data in your SUSE manager. That is spacewalk data FSK, like file system check, -R, capital S, capital C, capital O. I will write it down, and what this will do is it will clean up what is not being shown in the UI. It will remove from the database. So if you have an old version of Ubuntu and it's not being shown in the UI, it will remove it. So let's write this to...
Yeah, we can just make sure to include it in the notes that we will send out after the webinar. So that's no problem. We'll make sure that Ivan gets the correct answer. Do you guys have anything else to add?
Not from my side. I hope you enjoyed it.
All right, perfect. Well, in that case, thank you all for sticking with us today. And of course, big thanks to our speakers. You guys did great. We hope you found this session, of course, informational and helpful. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach us at marketing@adfinis.com. Yeah, thanks again and have a great day. And enjoy your lunch.
I
That's
want to
all.
say thanks to you for organizing this and to Adfinis for counting on us and for being such a nice partner. We really
course.
enjoy working with you folks. So
So do we.
happy to be here.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, everyone.